billion-dollar hailstorm hits an area, your focus should be on running your business, not on insurance claims. We have helped streamline the insurance process for hundreds of roofing contractors across the U.S., and we can do it for yours too. Visit us online at c3adjusters.com and learn how we can help you save time and get claims paid faster.
Happy Tuesday afternoon, everyone. Lead meteorologist Sean Choquette here for our daily 12 p.m. hail forecast, sponsored by C3 Group and Merlin Law Group. Both of their pages are in the description below if you're watching us here on Facebook. Before we get into all I have for you guys today, just another reminder about the Highway to Hail tour that is currently ongoing from April 9th through May 3rd in Chicago. We have a variety of dates here for our locations we're going to be at for the Highway to Hail. So again, next week, Austin, after that, Kansas City and Dallas, Indianapolis, and finally Chicago. So that is what we're looking at for where we're going to be located. If you want to come check us out, go to Company Cam's page and you can register for any of these events. I do not know which ones are sold out or not, so go check it out for yourself to see if you want to see one of us there in these coming days. Also, the website and the app are live. I know if any of you haven't been on there yet or just getting on there, need some help, need some training, we can get that set up for you guys. Just give us a call at 855-334-4245. And if you can't remember that, it'll show up at the screen at the end of the video as well. And finally, with all of that aside, we're going to go into something a little different for the first part of our video today. We're going to be going over March of this past year, since it just ended, and we're going to be doing the real April forecast. You watched us yesterday, we did a fake one. Since it's April 2nd, no longer a day of a bunch of fake news, we're going to have the real forecast for you guys today. So how did March 2019 hold up compared to previous years, especially like last year? Well, I got a whole ton of numbers that I've thrown at you right now, but all you got to pretty much see is the year to date. We're at 441 hail reports so far. Last year at the same time frame, so as of March 31st, we had 524 in 2018. So yeah, we're actually running behind 2018, and we're running well behind 2017, not even close. 2017 had some crazy events. I mean, we had more hail in February of 2017 than we had March this year. So we had 388 hail reports in March, and our average is 559. So we're actually pretty well below average so far for the year. However, if you work in any of the areas where you've been working, it doesn't really matter. The big difference between this year and last year is, yeah, we had 495 hail reports in March last year, but a lot of them didn't really hit a whole lot of stuff. While this year, it seems like we've gotten pretty lucky where almost every single event has impacted something somewhat majorly. In like Oklahoma City, we had Dallas, we've had the storms in Florida, we've had storms even in Ohio and a couple other places. So a lot of different storms, while last year we had the one event in Alabama, and then otherwise it was pretty rural stuff. And just showing the average, so the average year to date is a 690 hail reports. So you know, we're running well behind that, almost half of that. And compared to other years, we're pretty much in line almost identically with 2015. That kind of gives you an idea of what the season is probably going to kind of look like. And we're never going to be anywhere in the realm of possibility of matching 2017 or 2012. And just another note, 2011 wasn't going crazy quite yet, so we could still have a pretty active time. So how did things pan out in that 2019 hail forecast, in case you forgot? Well, the first thing we had here was 2019 was another year off to a fairly slow start with a quiet March, and I have a little happy face because I think we pretty much nailed that looking at how few reports we're at so far. It's been a pretty quiet start. I mean, again, yeah, those couple storms that went and did a bunch of damage. However, overall, in terms of sheer numbers, we had a pretty quiet start. And then activity should ramp up, followed by a fairly active April. We'll talk about that. And then, you know, all the other stuff that we had for 2019. If you guys came to one of our events or watched our video, you know how that stuff rolls. So I did this right here. I took the month-by-month forecast from our 2019 hail forecast, and then I took all the hail reports that came in the month of March, and I overlaid what our forecast had versus what the month looked like. Now, bring everything up, I had the very little activity, and well, you can see there's actually quite a bit I'll talk about in just a second, and then our most activity, and then the activity starting mid-month. So you look in the red here, we definitely have probably our biggest focus of hail was for sure in this area. That Dallas storm helped a ton with that, but overall, most of our, where we said the most activity would be, was focused essentially there. We had activity starting mid-month here. It was actually the beginning of the month back towards the East Coast. And then, yes, there was activity up in where I had the blue, and we'll talk about that in just a second here. So overall, just the verification of what our forecast had. It was indeed quiet, being quite below average. We had more activity than expected at the start of the month. Those first couple days, we had that surprise tornado outbreak in Georgia that came along with it, some pretty big hail. So again, that was earlier than we were expecting. There was more activity at the start of the month than we thought. Can't really complain about that too much there. There still was that quiet period in the middle of the month. There was an anomalous event impacting the Great Lakes region. So all those that you saw in the blue area, that happened over the course of just one event that moved through. And it's very hard to forecast an anomalous event. That's why they're called anomalous events. They are outside the norm. So overall, the core of the reports and activity landed within our forecast map, except for that one event that had hail north of where we thought it was going to hail. And hey, you know what? I'm sure nobody's complaining in the Chicago area or over by Cincinnati or anything where we had, surprisingly, some hail happening in the month of March. Pretty unusual. So what does that mean that we have for April 2019 here? Now that we're on the second day of April, another quiet day in store too. What are we expecting? Well, this is what I think the base state is. So basically, when we go into a more normal pattern and we don't have like a big system moving through, what does the jet stream generally look like? And it's kind of indicating that we're going to be moving into a pattern resembling something along the lines of this. So we got a little bit of a trough up in the northeast because the cold air is still trying to hang on a little bit. And then more importantly, we have cold air in the west with a western trough. And then we're likely going to see a southeastern ridge build some point mid-month to second half of the month. So again, this is the first week of April. It's not the pattern we're in right now, but I think that's what we're going to be seeing in the coming week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, going closer and closer to May, which means the core of instability where we're going to see most of the activity is everywhere here in the yellow. Obviously, it's not going to be sitting like this. It's going to be moving back and forth, go up and down, etc., etc. So we're showing the possibility of quite a bit of storms there, which leads to that 2019 monthly forecasting. If you saw our 2019 forecast, there isn't really any change. I kept it almost identical, I think almost completely identical to what we had that I forecasted back in January and February. Most activity is going to be in here, anywhere here in the red, so parts of the southeast into the plains. Where you've had hail already, more hail is expected, and it should move a little further north. Kansas City, you might get into it a little bit. Minimal activity, I think we're still not going to see too much outside, of course, of some crazy, unusual event. It's always possible. Anything's possible with the weather. And then I think some more activity is going to be coming in near the Great Lakes and, of course, over in the southeast. I think you'll still be seeing some activity as well for April. So that is what we're looking at for the monthly forecast. I can break that down for you, too, with some just bullet points here. The computer model data we've been looking at has been pretty consistently showing a favorable activity pattern. So ensembles means it's all of each of those individual runs. They really have a ton of different model runs happening at the same time. So it gives you a better idea for a longer range. You just kind of widen out your net a little bit, gives you a better idea of what we're looking at. And they've all been really kind of favoring about mid-month. Things get going a lot here where we really kick into that active pattern. So again, starting next week, we probably have a much more favorable pattern, more moisture to work with, better setups. Again, barring some kind of weird stuff going down, it looks like things are getting more active going to next week. I think we could see some activity this weekend. Obviously, there's some hail chances tomorrow and Thursday, but I think they're going to be becoming more frequent and a little bit more potent, a little bit more widespread. So crazy activity is not going to be happening nonstop. That's not what we're saying, but we're saying there's going to be more activity than not, and it'll continue to increase the later we get into April. So for the majority of the month, we should be seeing more activity. Again, this first week is obviously kind of quiet. And then overall, a near average April, I think, is what we're expected, with the majority of the activity in the red section of the map. So where we said the most activity, that's probably where most of the storms are going to occur for the month of April. And do I have? No, I did not have one. And overall, an average is about just under 1,200 hail reports for the month of April is what's considered to be average. So right around there. So I'm thinking if we see anywhere between 1,100 and now 1,350 reports, that's probably right around where I think April is going to land. So overall today, no hail expected. We're not going to be adding to that number at all today. And then tomorrow, different story. It looks like we'll see some hail possible. In the evening, I think a couple storms are going to form out in the Texas Panhandle, move into Oklahoma. Again, probably only 1 or 2 storms. Lapse rates, which is something that is very important for hail growth, are going to be incredibly high, which means we'll probably see of those 1 or 2 storms, probably one of them have up to some tennis ball size hail. However, it's going to be in a fairly rural area. Unless it hits Altus, Elk City, or Woodward, you're probably not going to hit anybody. And then for the remainder of this area, it's going to be late overnight, possibly into Thursday morning, some elevated activity, maybe some $1.25 to $1 size hail with that. So that's a preliminary forecast for your Wednesday. Looking ahead at that radar, you can see a couple of little storms popping up and then some other activity as well for, again, late in the overnight hours and then going into your Thursday morning, which leads into Thursday's forecast, which is on this 5-day sponsored by C3 Group and Maryland Law Group. For your Thursday, I have a 5% chance of a 3-star, up to some golf ball size hail in a moderate population area. Friday, I'm not saying anything, and right now for Saturday, I'm saying to be determined. There's some more things I gotta really look at. Obviously, since I was doing all this forecast stuff for April and a recap of March, I didn't go too deep into the 5-day today, but let it be known that it looks like we're probably gonna see quite a bit of activity possible going into this weekend if things line up just right. So what we have here on the area of concern for for Thursday, we have most of the state of Arkansas, eastern Texas, probably east of Houston, entire state of Louisiana, entire state of Mississippi, and then possibly into far western sections of Alabama for your area of concern. I think some isolated storms are going to form fairly early in the day and then continue throughout the day in the good old swampy Mississippi Delta area. No hail threat on Friday. And then Saturday, I'm saying predictability too low, but I think it's going to be resetting somewhere here in the Panhandle of Texas, maybe western Oklahoma. And then Sunday is looking interesting as well. So things are starting to kick up. Again, it's April. This is when storm season really starts to ramp up a little bit more. And then, of course, we're off to the races once it really gets going here. And just follow us here on Facebook, hit see first, and we'll hopefully guide you along on this wild ride that is Mother Nature. And you won't miss any of our posts and our live coverage and all of that great content that we do regularly. Follow us on Instagram as well. We do posts on there pretty regularly. Give us a call. Again, if you need some help with training or you need help with the app or website, definitely give us a call at the number right there, 855-334-4245. Email us or visit our website at hailtrace.com. Let's see. Oh, dang. I did not... My comments don't seem to be showing up on the screen here, so I'm going to go over, see if anybody asked anything. AJ asked Denver, when will we start getting some? Denver doesn't get going until May. I mean, you guys are just far enough north and you're about a mile up vertically, so it makes it so you guys don't see any activity till about the start of May, and then you continue all the way through possibly September even, but usually May, June's your focus of when hail happens, and it's kind of independent of almost anything else. So again, you guys got to probably just sit back and wait for another month or so before big storms head your way. All right, and we're ready in DFW. Yes, the fact that DFW's already got a big storm. I know there's so many roofers out there that you guys need a few pretty good storms every single year. So it's good to know that you had a good storm already. I'm sure there'll probably be at least one more. That's kind of how Dallas rolls. So I think that is all of the comments that have come in. I'm sorry the comments aren't working on the screen here. May have to screw around with some stuff after this video is over. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow, 12 p.m. as we do every single day on all these social media platforms that we are on. Somebody asked, what about Abilene, Texas? I mean, you just got to get some setups in here anywhere between April through probably the end of May. Abilene has a shot. As long as that dry line stays far enough to the west and get some storms of fire back that way, I'm sure there will be. So that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. on whatever platform you watch us on. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.